Hello, everyone, and welcome to Answer the Call. Today we have two special guests who are coming and representing the Yacht Club from Twitch, YouTube, and the Spectrum, Star Citizen Spectrum, where the Jump Club. It all kind of started with the Jump Club, I think, but we're gonna get their background today, and we're gonna talk to them about where they came from, learn a lot about them, what they do in the Star Citizen community. But then we also have a topic that Stim Citizen came up with, which is kind of like the pros and cons of theory crafting in SC, and have a little discussion about that. I like to, when we do have guests to come on, to have a topic that they're passionate about and that we can discuss with them. So without further ado, let's bring these guys on and welcome Stim, welcome Jorunn. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, anytime. I was just recently on your podcast this week, and it was a lot of fun. It's the second time I've been on the show. We've had some epically long podcasts together, fun discussions, and why not do it here? But today we're on a little bit of a time crunch, so today we won't do a 4 or 5 hour podcast like we did last time. But yeah, let's start out. I guess Stim, since you're right next to me, what's your background in SC? How'd you find out about it? And yeah.
Sure. So I originally backed in 2014, but it was really only about June of 2016 when I came back, had a look at the project again, and kind of got bitten by the bug, really bitten by the bug of what Star Citizen could be, which is kind of like the whole concept of theory crafting led up getting into. But, fell in love with it, started backing pretty heavily. Hit concierge within, a couple weeks, and then just got really excited about it. Really tried to go to the 2017 CitizenCon. But I missed out. I had a ticket in my shopping cart, and then by the time it's done, there's an issue with my phone number, and I thought that was irrelevant, and so I went back, and then of course the CIG shopping cart is not the best in the world. So we ended up missing that one. Went to 2018, and that's where I met Jorunn. And that's
2018 was Austin, right?
Oh yeah, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Just amazing. Anyway, I met Jorunn, and we between us and Shadowkin and Doc Murray, we decided to put together a show because there was nothing really out there that we thought that had a really positive, constructive spin at the time. At the time, a lot of the shows were a little bit more on the negative. The project had been going for quite some time, and all the streamers that were out there were starting to wane on their strength of kind of waiting for things to come out.
Hi, so I'm SaltEMike.
So we thought, we're following the project really, really closely. And you and a lot of the guys were too, but we weren't, investing ourselves like, deep into it. So we came in with a very social light show where we could, sort of do the news and not have any aspirations of where it's going to go, and just have a lot of fun with it. And it's just been a great ride ever since.
Well, there's no doubt that we invested our careers in it, and that's kind of why I think a lot of us felt the way we did at the time. But Jorunn, go ahead, introduce yourself and your kind of history with everything.
Yeah, so I am not really I wasn't really a big MMO gamer before. I was playing MechWarrior Online. I was mostly a Second Lifer since 2007. So not really like a hardcore game person, but I love being in virtual worlds. And I heard about it in 2015, watching YouTube videos, and it's like, oh, that looks really cool. And so I backed in late 2015.
Okay.
2016, and also it's like I was very insulated. I wasn't really part of any online communities or gaming communities or anything like that, and I was also kind of insulated without a lot of real life friends because of my marriage with somebody who's not real social. So in 2016, was hanging out in Gray Headed Gamer's Discord because of his Not So Sober Saturdays, and that was really kind of the first online community that I found. And that's when he tapped me to, it's like, hey, let's do a Florida bar citizen. And so he started a Discord, and then I went out and I found everybody who'd ever been interested on Spectrum in having a bar citizen. And Spectrum wasn't really, and actually this was before Spectrum, this was the old forums. And so people would check in, and it's like, hey, let's get together and have a bar citizen in Florida. And then like a few months later, somebody was like, hey, yeah, that would have been a great idea, but I missed it. And that was always these people just kind of missing each other. And so I gathered, I don't know, like 24 pages. It was like 240 or maybe like 140 names, tagged everybody. It's like, hey, get in the Discord. We want to have a bar citizen, put it like 4 or 5 months out. So we had a lot of time to plan that. You were instrumental in talking with JHG at the time about it, and that was the year that you went to Gamescom out there in Germany, which was just like incredible. And you and DJ Knight,
Baron and Richard.
Baron and Richard, right? That was just, I mean, so cool seeing members of the community being and taken to Germany and live streaming Gamescom for days was just such a neat thing to see you guys. And so I was gathering all these nerds, and we got a cool logo together. Somebody was kind of a graphic designer for Florida Bar Citizen, which was a space shuttle because we're in Florida.
I still have the shirt.
It's
my favorite
such
shirt.
A fun logo. Little Big Benny's leaning up against a palm tree, watching the space shuttle go off, and it's like Florida Bar Citizen. And so I was like gathering nerds as much as I could, and thought we were going to have like 30 or 40 people meeting up in Orlando from around the state. And shoot, and now all of a sudden I'm blanking on her name. I have a terrible memory. Sophie Girl.
Sophie Girl. I knew that's who you were thinking of too. Yeah.
Yeah. She was volunteering at CitizenCon in LA that year. So she was plugged in with Cameron and Tyler. And so she was telling them about what we were doing. And so then Tyler contacted me, and he put us on ATV back when it was around the verse, like 2 or 3 times. So he'd get in touch with me. It's like, hey, do you have some kind of graphic or some kind of logo or something like that, and some information like right before the show? It's like, and I was leaving the office, and I was sitting out in my car, and it's like I got my laptop out, and it's like getting on the Wi-Fi. It's like I got to have something for tomorrow's ATV. It's like I would get him something, and like there we are going out to the entire community about Florida Bar Citizen. We ended up having 80 people show up, and Tyler flew out from Austin.
I was late,
and yeah,
I had a rental car problem.
I know. Yeah. But you still made it. DJ Knight was there, and Great Head Gamer, and Commander Shepard. So we had a bunch of streamers, and it was just an incredible event. We went from 2:00 in the afternoon until like midnight in like 3 different venues because they kept closing down. And just a mind-blowing experience. It changed my life. And that's when I decided to kind of take Bar Citizen worldwide. And with the Discord model, we started the International Bar Citizen Organizers and drew in people from all over. And I started helping up people set up Discords in like 70 different regional Discords around the world. So Japan, Tokyo, Seoul, South Korea, New Zealand, Australia, all over Europe, South Africa, like all around the world, bringing these space nerds together. And that was really what it became my connection with this project and the community. As much as I was in love with the idea of spaceships and this sci-fi universe, it was about the community for a couple of years. And then I also ended up buying an 890 at the end of 2016. I melted more than half of my fleet, and it's like, this is going to be my second life in space. And so I got the 890, and it's like, it'd be kind of, after this whole community thing, it'd be kind of cool to meet other people who are crazy enough to like, who's going to buy $1,000 space yacht just to tootle around in this virtual universe. So I did, and then that turned into another amazing community. We got 500 people in the org. It's Stim Citizen. There's one right there. My best friend.
I bought the Kool-Aid, man.
one of my closest friends in the community, so we got 800 people in the Discord, 500 jump owners in the jump organization, and they're all massive fleet owners. So average spend in there is like $10,000. It's crazy. And we've got like 30, 40 legatus, double legatus. We got the one guy, he spent 100,000, and there's different people at different levels. And so that's where there's an entirely different level of theory crafting. And so we'll kind of use that as a background on our experience and perspective there. And when we met at CitizenCon, I was a lead volunteer. So I was working for the CIG organizer there.
Yep.
And so it just gave me an incredible perspective at Austin. And we had like 30 members of the Jump Club were at Austin, which was just incredible. I mean, we were all wearing these great shirts with all the logos that Rumpel made. Actually, I think this is the one from Manchester that I
should have worn mine.
Go to.
They're fantastic. Yeah,
it's early out there. You weren't thinking right. And so we wanted to provide this high level backer experience where we didn't really have any agenda as streamers, other than sharing our perspective with the community of people who one of the things that's unique about the people in the Jump Club and the Jump 890 experience are that you have a more casual, long range view of living in this universe, and it's not so much of an immediate gratification and gamification of it. And so it's been an incredible experience. 83 weeks we've been doing the weekly Yacht Club show, and we've grown an amazing community of Care Bears.
That's where I was going to go to next. Was you're talking about the Jump Club, but there's also the Yacht Club. So you guys should go ahead and talk about your experiences with that, what you're doing with it, and everything.
Confused.
Yeah,
I very often confuse yachts and jumps, but anybody can be a member of the Yacht Club. It was really kind of branded around a casual hangout environment. You park your yacht or your dinghy, and just hang out, grab a cocktail with friends. Stim, you want to talk about that?
Sure. So, I mean, we had a lot of good friends from the Jump Club. All these guys that had to have an 890 jump. We were so involved in the community that we wanted to. We had lots of friends elsewhere in the community that weren't part of the Jump Club because you had to have an 890 jump to be part of that club. So we said, you know what, let's make something that's a little bit more involved, so everybody that we know can hang out in a single place. And so we created that place, and that's the Yacht Club. At the Yacht Club, our motto is guns down, drinks up. So the whole idea is that it doesn't matter if you're a pirate or if you're just a Care Bear that doesn't want to do any kind of PvP. When you get there, you put your guns down, you're hanging out, you're having a drink. It's kind of it's that extension of Bar Citizen. And we recently changed our logo to be, instead of Yacht Club SC for Star Citizen, we changed it to Yacht Club BC for Bar Citizen. So it's really now the official Bar Citizen, the place you can go online around the world. We have people from all over the world, a big European contingent that comes in that watches. It's just a great.
And the other side of the world, don't forget Starlet in Thailand and our AU Australian people.
Yeah, literally from everywhere. And so it's a great place to come and hang out. And of course, we do our show every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And then, of course, we also do a bunch of inverse gameplay. So we played last night. So it is Monday, Thursdays, and Saturdays at about 8:30 or 8:45 p.m. Eastern time that we get together and we play for 3-4 hours, just hanging out.
Plus also our EU organizers are also doing a Thursday and Saturday group gameplay, 7 or 8, I think it's 8 p.m. Central European time, because we've got so many people in the EU and they want to have people to play together and just kind of hang out. And
what do your gameplay sessions normally look like? What do you guys normally do? Give some examples.
Shenanigans. Primarily, we get a whole bunch of spaceships together and vehicles, and we pick some place in the verse to go and start pulling a bunch of vehicles and cyclones and spaceships and jumping off of stuff, and just when you get a whole bunch of people together
and racing we line up ships and drive across them and jump over things.
People come up with crazy ideas. You get a bunch of nerds together in this sandbox, and it's kind of just random silliness and blowing things up and like dying and falling through stuff and just aimless silliness, hanging out with friends.
It's social hangout time. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And then Mondays we now have organized by one of our members is Mission Mondays, which is Care Bear FPS. So he's organizing. We will get together 2 different teams and we'll have some kind of objective, and we're going to practice FPS combat missions.
Oh, sick. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think
all kinds of stuff.
Very, very often I always felt compelled on this show to explain the reasons why it's important to have people that are like pirates and bounty hunters and these very gamified aspects, but especially more on the PvP side of things, because I think the game has been so inherently focused on visuals or whatever, right? Not like PvP was kind of pushed to the side until very, very recently. And I always felt on this show that I felt compelled to say like, hey, these guys are important too. But now more than ever, I feel that it's super, like, you guys call yourselves Care Bears but using that as like not a negative connotation, where very often the word Care Bear is considered super negative thing, right? Where it's just as important to have people that just enjoy being in the game and playing the game in their own way. It's the same, it's a different side of the same coin, right? Where everybody should be able to play the game the way they like. And I think it's really important to have both perspectives. And I feel like I fall somewhere in the middle. I've definitely played MMOs very Care Bear-like, and I've played MMOs very PvP-like. And I've played the same MMO both ways at times, and I think it's important that like there's just all walks of life, and if this game is going to be as great as we expect it to be, the game needs to be enjoyed by all walks of life. And I always think that that's what's important, because it will not be the best damn space sim ever unless Jorunn can enjoy it and somebody like a Virgil or a Space Cutlet can enjoy it. And they both have to be able to enjoy it in their own way, in their own place, in a way.
And that's what's important.
No risk, there's no reward as well for those that are trying to be PvEers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and that it's going to be so rich and deep and complex that there's something for everyone, and all of us are complex people. I've kind of adopted and we've embraced the Care Bear terminology, but it's primarily people that are interested in mining, cargo hauling, the economy, repair, salvage, these non-combat things. But a lot of us like to do some of that too. So one of our Elsie started a niche a niche org that's related to the Yacht Club. So we've got a lot of we call them family orgs, because they're all members that have started these niche interest orgs. Like Starlet, she was one of our community leaders. She started Hammer Time, which is a capital class PvE org. So you want to talk about theory crafting? Their entire mission is going to be centered around javelins, Idrises, and Krakens. I mean, we've probably got 20 or 30 javelins in there already. I mean, it's at that level because these are the crazy people from the Jump Club, where they've accumulated these massive fleets. And what are we going to do?
They'll never be able to fly on their own, by the way.
Yeah, so a lot of it's about creating these things that we're going to do in the future with these ships, and to bring in other people. It's like, I don't want to own a javelin. It's way too big for me, but I want to be a top turret gunner on the javelin. It's like pew pew and quad size 8 on the top turret. That's my thing.
It's not going to make a pew pew sound. You have to make up a different sound for it.
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
But I like some combat here and there. It's like, I'm not a hardcore PvP person, but sometimes I like to do some dogfighting. Sometimes I like to do some FPSing, and we all have all these interests. So and that's what's beautiful about this. There's going to be so much for everyone as they build it out.
Yeah.
And then one of the great things about sort of the orgs that have come together as part of that family is, first of all, the reason why they've grown there is because we've had such a great time hanging out and chatting and get to know each other, and we're such an inclusive group, saying, hey, come and join, just have a chance. We'll If we're in game, we'll spawn ships for you to fly around. It's so if you want to try out different ships, that kind of thing. But also where it comes to hammer time and these clubs where they've got these massive, massive fleets that they'll never be able to fly. Those guys and those great people are going to need people
and
to
gals.
fly those ships, right? So in game, so not only are you able to
you're so male centric, Stim.
Well, so I say guys, and guys for me means everybody.
Me too.
Then I feel like I
always
need to
get
say
caught
girls.
It's 2020, man.
Then I feel like I
we're
need to
we're
say
gonna get in trouble, Stim.
Or they.
I love giving Stim a hard time. He's such an empathetic person. That's why it's kind of fun to poke him.
Yeah.
So whoever, it's about being inclusive, and it's about we're gonna need people to fly these ships and to have fun, and so come hang out and have a chance to experience different ships and explore the game. And all you need in this game to play is a starter ship. That's all you need, right? There are avenues, there are some great backers, are just ways to find like other ships to play, as well as you can earn those ships in game. So you don't have to be as crazy as some of the people that are in the Jump Club and the Yacht Club, the base backers in the Yacht Club to kind of get going. Yeah, we have a great time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so let's talk about a little bit more about the Yacht Club and everything. You guys have been doing a lot of streams. Jorunn, you've been streaming on it, I've seen, and you guys are looking to get partnered and everything, right? So I never knew this. This was really important, and this was one of the things that I thought should be known out there. I had no idea. But if you're an affiliate on Twitch, you don't have the option to have control over your what is it? You were explaining it to me before the show.
What is it? Encoding stream quality.
Yeah, which is incredibly important for a stream and for people all around the world to be able to watch you. And I had no idea about this. And yeah, this is it. It's something that automatically happens for me because I was fortunate enough early on to be partnered, and I had no idea that this is something that affiliates deal with. So like a lot of these events you're streaming on the Yacht Club channel, right? This isn't just a channel that has one podcast a week, right?
Yeah, because we had to do 12 in a month. We hit every other requirement for partner except the number of times that you stream a month, which has to be 12 because we only do it weekly. So I normally stream on my channel Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. But Stim's joining us, and we're streaming on the Yacht Club channel all month.
Gotcha.
For those slots to try to hit those.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, and then obviously Twitch does a really good job of explaining to you like what the requirements are now. It's very cool nowadays from what it used to be. It was like, just get some viewers and then message us and we'll see what happens. Like that's kind of how
stream
it was.
More.
Yeah, stream more. It was like all this kind of crazy stuff. But yeah, I had no idea about that. And yeah, I mean, the big thing is before we get into the theory crafting topic, is I think it's so important that this community is incredibly polarizing or polarized, and we're all friends. The people that you're like polarizing yourself, like us versus them, is like we're friends with each other, guys. We like each other. Me and Jorunn have had beers together. We always will. Yeah. And when COVID comes back, we're gonna have it again. So the idea of this community being non-inclusive is crazy to me, and I at times get overly aggressive. I at times get overly passionate, and it will seem like I'm not being inclusive. But in general, I think it's how can we all want this game to be successful, and how can we have this game be successful if certain sects of the community don't like each other? It makes no sense, and it's just nuts to me. And when I get really strong and powerful about something, it's because I feel like that part of the community is being pushed to the side, right? And I thought for a while the PvP side of the community was really being pushed to the side by players that I guess fell into the Care Bear side a little bit more, where they thought, they were sort of getting their gameplay in the game, they were getting what they enjoyed, but the people who like PvP were not, and they were in a weird way, we're actually being ignored for a time because they were setting up this team, and now that this team is here, this vehicle experience team, I mean, we're actively seeing every patch how things are getting better. And so it's just, this game's never going to be great unless we all respect each other. So I thought it was really important.
Well, and I think that's important, is that a lot of times certain segments of the community will feel neglected because they don't have their specific gameplay that they want.
Yeah.
But CIG is working on so many different things, and they're trying to work in a sequential and logical manner to build the foundations. And I think about salvage. Those poor people, they're like they're some of the most agitated, neglected feeling people. But there's so many things that CIG has to have in place first, and for the longest time, Care Bears felt like CIG only cared about PvP people because it's all about the PvP
Arena
stuff.
Commander,
and then and then that shifted, and then it's like, oh, you're neglecting us, but they're working behind the scenes, and as much as CIG tries to communicate what they're doing, they don't always communicate the way that the community wants to hear it.
Yeah. Or they communicate with developers, which is kind of a weird way to communicate. I feel like Lando and Tyler would be perfect for these scenarios in a lot of cases. Tyler's had his hiccups of late with some things, but in general, I always thought that like Lando and Tyler were great communicators, and using the developers to communicate some things is really cool because like you see the inner workings of stuff. But at the same time, it definitely kind of not worked in other scenarios, right? Where like, hey, where's this project at? And then bring a bunch of devs on to explain it maybe isn't the best thing.
Yeah. Well, we actually had the chance to have Tyler on the Yacht Club.
I watched it. It was great.
Oh, it was amazing having him on. Not only were we sort of the one of the first shows to have anybody from CIG on in a long time, which was a great honor. But just having Tyler on, like he really is the right person for the job.
Yeah.
The big criticisms that I have of CIG has been their communication and their ability to set expectations for the community. Because this is why we get frustrated, right? Is because we see we see a roadmap and then we don't see things come, or Death of a Spaceman, which we're finally going to be getting information on next week. It's we're theory crafting based upon these old concepts that were created back in 2014.
Absolutely.
And this one little piece of information, like can a
agent smithing
freelancer, agent smithing, or the freelancer fitting through the smallest
jump
points. Are there even going to be jump points
I bought
anymore?
a freelancer because of that, like
exactly. I did too. So it was amazing to have a chance to chat with him, kind of getting back to the whole Tyler Whitkin thing. He really helped me understand the lens that he has and the lens that CIG has into trying to solve this communication issue. It was really quite impressive to see what's going on. So they are data mining all of Spectrum. They are data mining YouTube. They are really going through and trying to find out what the true feelings are in and amongst all the comments that are there. And they understand that any negative comment has some value, right? You can take negative comments and angry comments.
It comes from somewhere.
Right. And if people weren't passionate, they wouldn't be saying it, right? So you're able to get that. You're able to get the truth, the constructive criticism out of it, and put it into play. So they really do know, and shows like yours and shows like ours, and all the other community members that are out there, and everyone watching that's contributing and posting comments. Really, that message is getting there in an aggregate form. And they've got a lot of really neat tools that they use for sentiment analysis and just ways to figure things out. So I'm not trying to say that they know everything that's going on, but they really do pay attention. And if they had more bandwidth, we would be much happier. But communication is tough. It's the most ambitious project. And to expose your roadmap and the way they've done it. So I'm not trying to sit here and defend them, but at the same time, it's pretty ballsy doing what they're doing. So let's give them a little bit of creative license. And the more you're tapped in, the more I think you start to understand kind of where they're coming from. And then it just boils down to you're setting your own expectations. And I think that'll probably be a common theme for the rest of the podcast as we go into theory crafting.
Absolutely.
Well, and I think that's important as far as people's expectations and ability to follow, because not everybody has all day, every day to follow everything that CIG is putting out. And they put out a lot of information, but it really is a full-time job to follow it. And
it really is.
Like,
it's ridiculous.
I'm insanely obsessive about it. So I follow everything, every single statement by every dev and every article and every interview and everything that's put out. And then I parse it and I take notes on it for our show. And I discuss it with other members of the community. And most people cannot follow at that level. And I think that's one of the problems that a lot of the community has, is that they don't have a lot of information. And I continually see the same questions getting asked over and over again of fairly simple things. I try to hang out in concierge chat on Spectrum a lot, and these are high level backers. It's like you got to spend $1,000 to get in there, and people come in there and they've spent $1,000, and some of the most basic information they don't have because they've accumulated it over the years, and $50 here, $20 there, $100 there over 8 years, 3, 4, 5 years isn't really that much on an annual basis. And they don't follow full time. Like we do.
Sure. And then I guess we should, since we're about half an hour in now, we should probably start jumping into the theory crafting discussion so we can get to some callers at the end. But before we do, I guess, this will be the first time I've ever done this. CIG did sponsor us with some 100 series giveaways. So there's one going on Twitch right now, ! Raffle to enter that one. But if you're watching on YouTube, all you have to do is leave a comment below and one of you will get lucky and win a 125A on YouTube. And then there's going to be something on Discord for the 100i. So keep an eye out on our Discord for the 100i. And all the links and stuff will be there, as well as all the links for Yacht Club and Stim and Jorunn as well in the YouTube description. If you don't mind, Stim or Jorunn, you can message me your links now, and we'll have the mods kind of spam them in the Twitch chat if you have a second. But Stim, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, since this was kind of your baby for the show, is to start talking about theory crafting and some of the pros and cons. So I'll ship it over to you to start with, and what you guys think about or what you think about it.
Sure. So I mean, when I backed the game, based upon this dream. I had played Freelancer and the Wing Commander series, and I had some kind of idea between that and what was proposed on the Kickstarter campaign. So really from the beginning, what I was doing in my mind was dreaming about what this game has been. And the most value I have gotten out of Star Citizen, besides running along with Jorunn the Yacht Club, is in the community, is dreaming about this game. Because what do you do at a Bar Citizen? Well, you get there and you talk about the game and what it's going to be like. And what it's going to be like, that is in your mind actively theory crafting. And so we set ourselves these expectations. And as I said earlier, this is kind of going to be the whole discussion of, what are the pros and the cons of this dreaming that we're doing about the game? Because we can very easily hit the bar on our expectations and then be dissatisfied when it's launched. Or, we could temper ourselves a little bit and hope things will be the way they are, but, measure ourselves so that we're not overly disappointed, and try and, be realistic. And I've seen people that, will outright say, if it is not mentioned by CIG, it does not exist. And so we just had a recent example of this with Doc Murray on the show. Doc is a very, very realistic guy. He's absolutely loved the way that he approaches Star Citizen. So I'm trying to remember the exact, it's about homesteads. And so he was saying, no, homesteads will not be
the pioneer cannot.
We were all there for this.
Right. So this will not happen.
We're like, well, actually.
I've been saying for as soon as we saw the first homestead concepts, the Pioneer's going to be able to make those.
Yeah. They would have to. There was no way.
Well, I don't know. I think
that's where Doc was trying to reel everybody back in until they actually say yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the middle. Like you're saying it would have to be. And I'm sitting there going, well, you know what? Like the Pioneer's designed in a certain way. If we're going to have that level of fidelity of the way things are done, like if you can go into your ship and see the outpost being put together, then that's an extremely complex program.
Yeah.
And how that's done. So now in my mind, I have this image of, it's going to kind of put like a big tarp over whatever's being built, and then we'll just see what's built in the end. Because how are they going to do it where it can build all of these different things, right? Like, they were prefabs
3D printing.
Well, yeah, and they'll make it work. And yeah. And remember how with repair had that kind of, it was almost like 3D printing the wing. So yeah, it'll probably end up being something like that. But I couldn't fathom them actually doing it, even though I wanted it to happen. I couldn't believe that it would actually happen. So I'm thrilled on that particular one. But you can see how you can sit on many different sides of the fence. And Doc was like, no, there's no way that theory craft is going to happen. Both of you guys were like, yeah, it's got it.
They're going to have to something else. He was saying this, like they said that they're only going to be for NPCs. They're only going to be for NPCs. Players are not going to have those. And it's like, of course, players are going to have
told
those.
Us.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't say
so far that's
they said initially for NPCs.
Initially. Yeah.
But Chris Roberts had said in a Pillar Talk earlier this year about building homesteads on places like Microtech after seeing all these beautiful images that people are taking. And as soon as he said that word, I keyed that his thinking changed about what players are going to want to do in the universe. No. And I think that's one of the things that's difficult to understand is that even Chris and the Pillar directors and Sean Tracy and Todd Pappy and Brian Chambers, as they're building the foundation, they're seeing things kind of flesh out. It's hard to imagine building a universe. I mean, what is all entailed in like building a Star Wars universe?
We have to help do it.
And it's incredible. And so as they build certain things, like, oh, well, this is something we're going to need that we didn't think about. It's like there's so many things that they haven't thought about until they get there. And that's where this theory crafting that we do as a community is built on what they've said, but also putting, I like to call it a 100,000 or million piece jigsaw puzzle. Like, here's a statement here, here's a statement here, here's a word that this dev used, and you put them together and you're kind of building this picture that you have.
Yeah.
If you have all the information. Most people don't have that level of detail, and that I think that's where the disconnect comes in, that people start theory crafting on stuff that they don't know or have or imagine, or it's a rumor. SC Leaks is terrible about that. I'm going to call that out.
That's fine.
And I think you were on their show not too long ago.
I was on their show specifically to call that out. So the actual point of going on the show was they wanted to have a conversation of whether leaks are good or not. And I was definitely on the side of I'm not for leaks. So that was the thing that I really was strongly felt about it was that they were sort of implying, they were almost theory crafting whatever information they were able to extract, however they extracted it. They would theory craft rumors, and then create these rumors out of it. And I was like, that's not really appropriate, because you guys are quickly becoming an authority in the community. And what people think is that these are absolutely true, but what's happening is it's sort of theory crafting where it's not good for everybody. So they actually agreed with me on a lot of that. So it was kind of nice.
So many bad fake false rumors come out of that Discord. And it blows my mind. And
we make jokes about it here all the time. It's an active joke here.
I have to fight it everywhere in the community, because this stuff just spins out of control, and somebody says something and somebody else heard it from somebody, and it's
literally telephone.
It's reality. It's like, it's the worst.
They use, and you were mentioning this to us at one point, SaltEMike. You were saying that people refer to them as an authority on because because it was on this show. And this is the thing, Jorunn, myself, you, like, we're just people that got passionate enough to start talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
And put together a channel. But for some reason, if it's mentioned on this show, it's now, I won't say canon, but it has this weight to it that is,
this happens for other
somebody
people
on the internet
too.
said
totally
something
unjustified.
This will be like Soros said this. Super Mac Brothers thinks that. And it's like, just because we're people that have a show doesn't necessarily mean we're authorities on every subject. I think when it comes to like, teaching somebody how to back the game, or like definitely in Jorunn's example, having this background on really making, like, knowing everything they say, well, this is where we're at right now. Like, yes, in some way we are an authority, but not as much as the community puts in us in a lot of times, right? Is we're just regular guys just like you. I mean, that's really where this specific show came about. It started out with a conversation with Board Gamer, which was, again, just like two of these authorities talking about Star Citizen, and then it turned into something where later on in the show, which is, this is a good time to plug it, is if you guys want to come in and talk about theory crafting and the pros and cons, or talk with Jorunn or Stim or myself about anything, !Discord in the Twitch chat, and you guys can pop in and have a conversation with us. So it's very limited. I think we'll take 3 callers, so make sure you get in there if you guys want to come on today. But yeah, so I mean, that's what it is it's kind of, everybody comes from different places, and it sometimes people put too much weight on people that, like, I'm not a game developer, I don't know any. I'm put the pieces together just like Jorunn in a lot of cases.
We're just nerds on a camera.
Yeah.
Anybody can get a camera and get on Twitch.
Exactly.
Right? And so this is why I think the Star Citizen project is so amazingly cool, is because not only is it crowdfunded from a financial standpoint, but it's also crowdfunded from a theory craft,
marketing,
from a desire. Well, hold on, from a desire standpoint. So you've got people like the 3 of us on the panel right now that have sort of stepped up and created these shows. You've got everyone that's watching that is interested, that wants to share opinion and comment and go through. And then you've got CIG that is, especially when we had Tyler on the show, he exposed that you're able to look at everything that people are thinking what they want. And getting back to the theory crafting concept, Chris Roberts, remember he said there would be never any crafting in the game. We wouldn't be creating those. Well, now, we're going to have crafting in the game. And that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have this, I won't call it groupthink because it's so different in how it is, but it is this crowdsourcing of what the game is going to be. So what we want really matters. And the proof of how things have changed is that, like, Chris Roberts, everybody says, well, it's going to be his game just the way he wants it. Well, yes, it is, but treat him as the rudder that guides the ship that we all want. But it's making sure that it's going to be fun. Because a lot of people will say, oh yeah, I want the true space combat experience, where really you're not going to be anywhere near each other. You're going to be shooting missiles from 5 million miles away.
Like watch The Expanse. Like, nobody wants that, right? Like, they just launch missiles at each other and run away, and then run away from explosions. Like, for a video game, it's not really great. But yeah, I mean, my kind of thoughts on theory crafting are, it has to be in the middle. We don't get Star Citizen without theory crafting. We don't get $300 million without theory crafting. CIG has been godlike in putting up a picture, just an image, and in that image, it creates thousands of thoughts in your mind of what you would do in said place, said ship, said armor, anything, right? And that has been what they have excelled at better than anything. And and that's also where my frustration comes from, because the pictures continue to come, but the ideas that you have in your head, you're not seeing them come to fruition.
But they're delivering.
Yes, but they are.
The amount of theory crafting that we had about the jump for years, and now we have it, and it's not done.
Did it meet your
it has
expectations?
a lot more to go. It exceeded our expectations.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Absolutely exceeded our expectations.
I'm worried about my Orion,
it's not
Jorunn.
done.
I'm
It will
scared.
exceed your expectations.
I hope.
It'll be fine.
I hope.
It'll be dirty AF.
Unless so here's one of the things, and we had like the 890. So we theory crafted about it for years. I mean, they concepted it in 2014. They sold like 3,400 of them at $600 for this spaceship that was going to be years away. And so what's it going to be able to do? What's its role? Will it be able to make money? What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like when you're inside of it? And when they finally delivered it, and as even before that, as they were showing the concept images and as it was in development, we'd get the rock grotto spa, the hot tub in the rock grotto. It's like I was so latched onto that. Yeah. I was so latched on to that rock grotto. It's like, and I am so disappointed I didn't get that. I love what I got.
Yeah.
But if you get attached to very specific things, that is where you're not managing your expectations of concepts and development, where things change over time until they're delivered. And even after they're delivered, they're going to go back like the 600. They're going to go back and redesign it. And we expect, other ships are going to get some reworks.
No,
gotta be careful mentioning the 890 Jump Club, or not the Jump Club, but the 890 Jump, the ship itself. Jorunn will talk for an hour and a half on that alone.
The thing I want to ask you, what you're going with, Jorunn, is the big thing about theory crafting is do it, and enjoy it, because that's what's so great about the project. I think I said this on your podcast. If I didn't, I meant to. There was a way back in the very, very early years of the game. This was, I believe, on, what was the first show called with the first show they ever put out? Oh my God, Wingman's Hangar. Wingman's Hangar.
Reverse the Bird? No,
Wingman's Hangar. It was on Wingman's Hangar. Okay. Somebody said this. The worst thing about Star Citizen will be when it releases, because we can no longer have these shows, right? You can't theory craft anymore. You can't do these things.
The imagination.
Yeah, the imagination goes away, and this is what you have. And the thing that I gather from what you just said is we also have to quell our expectations. Now, how do you do that? Now, this is the thing, is if, like you say, most people don't watch everything, read everything, because if you do read everything, it makes it easier to calm your expectations down, right? But if the main things that you see, what would you guess? My guess would be that if you were following the project at all, the main thing you would see is maybe ISC and the releases of the patches, those videos. How do you quell your expectations when you see those things? Because those things are
all marketing.
Yeah.
It's all marketing and promotion, and that's tough. And that's the thing. And I always joke on the show saying, every week there's a lore post, right?
Yeah.
And there's a hero image at the top, but there's nothing going down. I always joke that there's too many words, not enough pictures, and I really want everything to be an infographic. Otherwise, people would read it, or like a graphic novel. That's the right term there. And then people would read more of it, because people grab when they can in between what they're doing. Everyone's busy, so they grab ship updates, or they grab whatever's a video.
I mean, grab it. Noobifier and Board Gamer are who they are for a reason, right? Because there was there was definitely a need for that. Is people wanted the information, but in an easier digestible. And
some people
INN
don't want to
back
watch
in the day,
a 12-minute video.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to watch a 12-minute video. The number of people that won't watch a 12-minute ISC video, it's like, oh, I only watch the 2-minute Noobifier videos, because it's like, if you don't have 12 freaking minutes to
you are a busy person.
Like, how much time do they waste on other things?
Exactly.
It's where your priorities are, and then they bitch because they don't have enough understanding and information. I've always been joked that I'm the hype master. It's like I build hype, but I am also one of the biggest killers of unrealistic hype. And because I base my hype on the information that they have, this is going to be an amazing project, an amazing universe. It is right now amazing what they've delivered, but what we're going to have, I can barely wrap my mind around the scale and complexity of it. based on the reality of what we've theory crafted from what CIG theory crafted. I mean, this whole project was a theory craft in Chris's mind. This is something I want to build, and then he went from 3 million to 300 million, and it's like, I'm going to build something even bigger. It's all a theory craft in their minds.
Yeah.
But I'm constantly killing people's hype sometimes, because I see people come up with all kinds of, like, no, that's not going to happen because they said this, this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be cool. But you're way off in left field.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm a meme for that too.
I'll put my question to you though a little bit, Jorunn, is you can't expect everybody to not have an opinion on the internet. It's just natural, right? This is the world we live in. So if CIG is putting out their main stuff is marketing, how do they do better? Do they want to do better? This is the biggest thing, is if they don't show the game in this trailer light like they do at times, then you have this weird thing where it's like, hey, don't play our game now, it sucks, right? Is sort of like what they'd be putting out there. But if they don't, then you get people that create expectations from the video they saw, play the game, and go, what's this? So how do we, like you and I, how does Star Citizen do better? Because
I think
the onus is on them.
Try to do.
They're trying, yeah.
I think that's why we don't get those big picture, far future looking random rambling talks from Chris and Tony anymore, because they've tried to bring that back, and they said that earlier this year, that that they want to focus on what's coming in the immediate future, so that people aren't so upset and disappointed when where's the sandworm, like where's this, where's that, they showed this, where's this stuff that it's not coming for years. But most of us longer time backers, we live off of that. The future of what we're going to get down the road is what we still want to understand where their thinking is now, as opposed to where it was 5 or 6 years ago, like Death of a Spaceman or Agent Smithing, which I always hated that term. At least we got an answer, but we didn't get enough information on NPCs. And I wish we had more of that forward-looking random theory crafting by the people that are building this, so we had a better idea of what we can theory craft from.
Sure.
But I think that's where they have scaled that back, and I hate the fact that they've scaled that back.
Yeah, I do too. And I am one of the people that suffers from overhype. No matter what, they pull me back in every time. They showed me those homestead things, Jorunn, and I lost it. I'm in 100% again. and I know at some point I will have a level of disappointment that will spin me down into a spiral of anger because of that image that I saw. But at the same time, like, that is what.
But that's on you.
Yeah, it's on me, 100%.
I love you, man, but you don't manage your own personal expectations well.
Yeah. It's not easy for everybody, and I don't need to jump to your defense, SaltEMike. This is about everybody. It's tough. Like, it's a roller coaster ride, guys. I go through it too, right? I go through it too, but I maybe I step back and I look at it and go, okay, like you're reaching a real high now, but that bipolar fall off at the end, it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming at some point. So then I try and temper it. So for me, I absolutely love when like that. So let's look at the Carrick commercial that we got, where the guy was walking in a suit, with his hand just lightly brushing the tops of like whatever that wheat, that sort of curled over wheat was. Just absolutely gorgeous.
Climbing in that canyon.
Right. And I'm just looking at going, that is absolutely amazing. I wonder what the reality is going to be when that comes. But for right now, I'm going to suspend my disbelief and enjoy the show and share in the fact that we're all dreaming about what this is going to be. Every
game
tough,
does
man.
this, though.
It's tough.
every game puts out a in-engine trailer that isn't the game that you're playing. Like we talked about this on the show this week.
Trailers that aren't even in
completely faked. And we talked about this on the show this week with you guys. Was that what's cool about SC is it's at least close. The visual fidelity is similar, if not almost exactly the same, right? So the idea is at least they're not baiting you with that, right? Where in a way, I don't think we'll ever be able to walk through a field of wheat and rush our hands over it. I mean, that's another level of, I don't think
you need like some kind of haptic suit.
Yeah, I think we will.
I don't know. I think we would need Watson as our server to be able to do that. You know,
they were showing that in ISC just a couple of months ago, walking through all those plants.
Yes, but not that.
So collision on foliage, there's that. But but to be able to have the dexterity to look down and move your hand out over specific
that's what I mean.
like that's kind of the level we're trying to it's not going to happen.
Okay, if you're attached to that specific movement and that specific thing, then you're going to be disappointed.
No, I don't think anybody is. Nobody is. What I'm saying is that it's okay to make trailers like that. That's what I'm saying. Because everybody does.
Think about being in VR in the future when they have the foliage that reacts to walking. I mean, you're going to be in VR.
It may become that way many years from now.
Look down
it's entirely possible, but
this is years from now. So temper your expectations, and that's where while I'm the hype master, I'm often the hype killer because I try to remind people, it's like, look, we have a long way to go. We're not going to see beta for 3 to 5 years. We're not going to have 100 star systems. And when we go to beta, there's a lot of things we're not going to have, and we've got to pull some things back. And like Pyro is, I think, a really good recent example of, a lot of us, and I was one of the big people that I was basing my timeline expectations on that comment back in May that they were hoping to have iCache in by the end of the year and potentially the first stage of server meshing, because one of the other devs had talked about Stanton being on one server, Pyro being on the other server, and the transition from the mesh of one to the other through the jump point would be the natural kind of first test. They haven't said that that's not going to happen. So that's still out there as a possibility. But because iCache is pushed back until second quarter of next year, according to Chris, potentially, we're probably not going to have Pyro in December, which is what I was super looking forward to getting. So, and I was a bit disappointed from that. But again, as soon as I started feeling those levels of disappointment, I remind myself that we're in this for years and things continually get pushed back, and they communicated it well as they can. So I don't let it crush me, because while I have these theories and I try to base it on the reality, I am eminently flexible.
Where do you guys think we're going to be in the next, how do you guys feel about the next 6 months to a year? A lot of people, lot of what I'm getting is this is going to be a rough ride for the next little bit, because I don't think
it could be
the game. I made a video recently about CitizenCon and how important I didn't realize it might have been, because CitizenCon
I like that video.
Enjoyed that.
CitizenCon's really important. They've mentioned it so many times. I actually really tried to dive and find where they say it, and I couldn't.
I do disagree with something though.
Okay. Yeah. All I'm saying was that it pushes the development team. Like they grind. I know, because I know some of these guys. I've been there. They grind day and night to get this stuff out, because this is literally the only date they have to meet. This is the only date they keep themselves to.
They have to push something out at that point to wow the community.
Exactly. And Chris has what he wants for that, so it pushes the dev team. It motivates them. And I don't think crunch is a good thing, but it's clear that crunch happens during this event, right? So
can I
go ahead.
I was going to say, and I know Jorunn, you want to pitch in here. Let me just say this very, very quickly. The first 6 months of the year is the hardest every year.
Yeah.
Because, we've come off this hype of CitizenCon towards the end of the year, the anniversary sale, and then we sit there and there's generally not a lot that comes out. There's a lot of planning and strategy meetings that they do, and they kind of get the cadence for the year going again. And, they're always developing. They've got a big dev team. They're always working on it. But now, we're coming off of no CitizenCon with, we thought, I said for sure, oh yeah, we're going to have panels, or it's just going to be virtual. They're going to, they'll do something.
At least some panels.
We've got nothing, right? At least something. And, we've got
we
nothing that way.
We got nothing that looked like CitizenCon.
Yeah. Right. And, we're supposed to have the IAE and stuff like that, but it's really, we're not having that. And with things being pushed back and with iCache being pushed back, there is the potential. Now, I have no idea. Like in my mind, the little part of my mind that has a hype center in it is saying there's something really big they're holding on to that they're not going to tell us about. They've changed these timelines to be very short, and that means something big is coming because we don't know about it. There's no roadmap.
Don't do it from us on purpose. Don't do it, Stim.
Really bad. It's like, come back. Don't jump. Don't jump.
I'll just breathe. So there's part of me in there that is saying, there's something big coming, but there might not be anything big coming, and there probably isn't.
Yeah.
And so it could be, it could, the next 6 months could really suck. Yeah. And I don't want to set people's expectations to be otherwise, because I'd rather us be, pleasantly surprised.
I think it will suck from, like we started out at the beginning of the show. I think it will suck from the player who is looking for gameplay elements to get pushed forward.
New major content.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's
from
on
that
hold
standpoint.
Because and we had the same issue with socks, right? Yeah. So tons of things were on hold because of socks, and then socks finally came in, and we kind of got like a burst of different things that came out to us.
Yeah.
And then now it's iCache we're waiting on, and so it's that technology that ends up being that barrier. So I really hope they get that sorted out soon.
And I think saying that it sucks really only applies to a specific expectation. And again, it always theory crafting and our whole journey as citizens,
we get to theory craft more.
It's managing those expectations. And if you can step back from the things that you want and need to enjoy the game, like Stim, I'd learned, when he was when you were on the show, that Stim was waiting for all those things to come in, to have the economy and to have major cargo hauling and that.
Yeah, I think Stim and I both fell in love with the game with the economy video, right?
100%.
That was me, and then my theory crafting just went boom, and that was it. I was like, all right, I'm in.
I'm a space trucker. I study macroeconomics and as a hobby, so it's like the economy fascinates me. It's like it's a huge thing that I'm looking forward to, but I have no expectations for a long time, and I have chosen to enjoy what they have now and find fun in what they have given us. And yeah, it looks nothing like what we're going to have down the road. And a lot of it has to do with having friends and doing stuff with other people and the community that we created. And shenanigans is kind of pointless and kind of repetitive, but it's still so much fun. And I ask people, what do you want to do today? It's like, well, let's go do the same thing we it's kind of like Pinky and the Brain. It's like, what do you want to do today?
Take over the world.
Same thing we do every day.
Take over the world. Like, crash cyclones and jump cyclones off of stuff, just like we do every day. And it's crazy fun, and we get new people, and people come up with new ideas, and the fact that we're playing it every day, not every day, but multiple times a week. When we get a new patch, we see the subtle changes and improvements that they're making. And
this patch had nothing big. But this patch is pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's all quality of life for the most part, as far as I'm concerned.
The inventory system, more building blocks throughout, better ship HUDs.
Do you know what we did yesterday? It was incredible. This was probably the best moment I've had in this game in a long time. Nice. We went out mining. A bunch of us had rocks. We're all separate in our own rocks. Then we had two guys who were logistics players. And they came and they emptied the rock, made a box, and sold it. So you never had to leave the surface. You know, the whole thing.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool,
you know, the whole thing, like, hey, when is the prospector going to drop the
bags?
It's with the
Drop
rock,
bags.
you
Oh
could
my
do
God.
it. You could drop the bags with the rock now. So we did that.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
So awesome.
And
So
we
awesome.
yeah, we did that, and we went out, and the best part was there was a pirate on the server, and he was within 5 kilometers of me. One guy, he sacrifices himself, and the pirate ending up in jail. Somebody else killed him, but he was so close to me. But I didn't have any gems on me. There was nothing he could take because of the system that we put in place. It was cool.
Nice.
So like,
Nice.
you know,
Nice.
that little bit of like,
You
there's
had-
people
you
have
had
been
a
waiting
little
for
bit of it, yeah.
yeah, there's people that have been
Cooperative
waiting for that
economic
cooperative mining thing where a person can
That's
take their
amazing.
cargo
You got
ship
it.
and
You
be
got
a
it.
cargo hauler for our
So
little
I-
org. It was awesome.
I am the
it was theory
hauling
crafting coming to
manager.
life.
So for the UEMC, the United Earth Mining Corporation, which is the largest mining corporation in Star Citizen, as far as largest mining organization. Anyway, so I'm the hauling manager for that, and so I've had to put on my theory crafting helmet to think about exactly what that's going to look like. And so I've got this vision of being out at a belt. Everybody mining and prospectors and moles, and then you've got a Kraken that's there as a base of operations. That
I was just
and then
talking
you
about
have
this.
Argo SRVs that will take bags out and pick bags up from prospectors and moles, bring them back to the Kraken, and then you'll have Hull Bs or a Hull C or whatever ferrying that back to a refinery and selling it off, right? And then you've got security that's around. For security, you need to have a command and control ship that is then
this
checking,
is all healthy. This is healthy theory crafting, but there's the difference of looking at a video and creating an expectation, right? That's where it's almost not theory crafting when you do that, but it sort of is. It's creating false expectations for yourself, which CIG it's oh man, they have a lose-lose, because if they don't do it, then they don't have the project, and we don't have procedural planets and all this scale and everything that we have now. If they don't sell ships, concept ships especially, the same thing, right? So it's this weird spot that they're in, is if we tell them, hey, stop creating not false expectations, but stop creating expectations for people now for what it'll be later.
But then we complain.
Yeah, you can't do that
when there's no concept ship in a while. We're like, where is it? Where is it? We want it.
Where's my lose-lose. Where's my Origin 400? Where's
it's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
I like when it comes down to communication for them. I don't mind a lot of this stuff. I do like to joke about it with my community. I think what comes off with me is we joke about we call it imagining, because like the Imagine trailer, right? You could do anything. Yeah. It's like you can't do anything yet, right? Compared to what we will be able to do. So that trailer, I think, is the sole part of the quote unquote problem with people's false expectations. But the idea of what you're doing, that's what's great, because you can theory craft it and create a way to try and make that a possibility in the current game.
Right. Right.
And I think that's what's super healthy.
And it's things like being able to drop bags, pick them up, move them around.
Yeah.
Tractor beams, all those little pieces of the puzzle need to come together for that to work.
That's where frustration comes from too. Is why isn't my little thing prioritized? Go ahead, Jorunn. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that's happened here lately is that a lot of the new backers that have come in the past year, we talked about that last week, they don't understand what is coming in the future. They see what we have now, and they think it's like, well, this is the game in one star system, and well, once we get these game mechanics fleshed out, and then this is the game. Mm-hmm. Not all these things that the rest of us that we've been following for years, and we've understood CIG's future image of the universe, and how it's going to work together in the physicalization of inventory, and how like somebody was asking me on stream last night, well, will you be able to buy a ticket on a Genesis Starliner to go from Stanton to Terra or some other star system, and just be a passenger on a spaceship? And yeah, absolutely. And that's going to be a very valid gameplay. I mean, the Genesis Starliner was sold for $430 back in 2014 or whatever it was, or 15 or 13.
Well, yeah, I guess from that perspective, they have to make it work, but you don't know if it'll work exactly that way.
Yeah, like the Mixmaster. Now there's an actual bartender. So are you gonna have a bartender instead of the Mixmaster? And it's like Jared Discolando is he's so excited about that Mixmaster, but are you really gonna have a Mixmaster if you have a bartender? It's like,
who knows?
There will be this passenger interaction gameplay that you have to have, but what they weren't thinking about was if you have physicalized inventory and everything that you own is a physical item in the universe that's persistent wherever it is or was, not this magical bag of holding inventory system that we have. If you buy a ticket on a Genesis Starliner and all of your stuff is in your hab or hangar over on Microtech, and you take a spaceship trip to Terra, well, you don't have any of your gear there. And like the spacesuits, that you're going to have these lockers, depending on how large your ship is and how many lockers you have to choose what spacesuits you're taking with you on your journey.
They showed that at CitizenCon.
Yeah,
the last Citizen,
that's
2019.
Going to change everything tremendously. And this is a theory crafting that people haven't even really thought about much, and new backers have no clue.
Yeah, and that's the part where I do find people get frustrated too, is if it strays from their either what they have in their head even ever so slightly, or strays from the information that we had in the past. Mining's a little slightly, ever so slightly different than what that original design doc was. Some people complained. It's pretty fun. It's pretty sweet. I think it's like, obviously it's the thing they've given the most love to, so it's quite expansive as well. And now refinery decks are coming. Like, is that refinery ship from CitizenCon on the way? Like, who knows? So there's, do they start with the decks and then go to the ship? I don't know. But the idea of that stuff is coming is fine, and having those thoughts. But what I do notice people too, and this goes to a lot of what you've been saying, Jorunn, about expectations, is if it changes a little bit, don't get so upset. There has to be a good reason why it changed. Like, maybe we weren't able to do what we hoped to do there. And CIG doesn't put those docs out for that reason. They used to put those docs out because things changed. I think we're seeing straight to flyable ships because the concept changes. People freak out. This line is not the same as the line in the picture, and it's just like
fat. The Mercury's not sleek anymore.
Yeah, so it goes to Vanguard that had that issue. It prevents them from having to do reworks as often too. So it saves them money, it saves us time. I think that's really what it comes from. And people get upset about those straight to flyable ships, but for many reasons,
That will never happen.
What's that? A Sadaball will never happen. Don't listen to BB.
Sadaball theory crafting.
Oh yeah, should we theory craft Sadaball right now?
I want Sadaball.
Push and pull is coming, Jorunn. Push and pull is coming.
I will.
Tractor beam is coming. That is the missing link to Sadaball, sir.
Improved throw and Pico ball is in game now.
Yeah, Pico ball is coming.
Pico into the net in the 890, and that has redeemed that entire area for me because I hate basketball, and that's a trigger point for me.
But you love Pico ball.
I love anything to do with Pico. Pico is everything. So I'm now okay with that as long as you only throw a Pico into the net.
We have two emotes. We have two emotes on this channel related to Pico. It's because it's a polarizing figure. You can either love the Pico and pet it, or you can smash the Pico because you don't like it. Because what the Pico has done, unfortunately, is that when you drop things on the ground, they disappear really quickly because they need to clean up all the Picos that everybody was dropping. So it actually ruined the game for some people. Like, if you destroy a ship and it has cargo on it, that cargo instantly disappears because of the Pico. Oh, and you can also there's Pico slide, which is him on the surfboard sliding across the screen. So yeah, But yeah, so it's funny how polarizing just this little figure can be in our community. That's how passionate it is. But all right, we're nearing the end of the show. So once again, we have one remaining slot if you guys want to join the show and call in. So join the Discord and pop in the green room, and I'll pull you down into the queue. But we'll bring in our first caller here. Hopefully this works. We set it all up, so it should. Yes. Tonkasu, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Very well. So you're on with Stim and Jorunn. Do you want to ask them anything specifically?
Yes, actually. And before I ask the question, we're in a safe space, so you can say whatever you want, because it's a tricky question.
Okay.
The Halloween mask, did you choose it?
Oh, the Vandal mask.
Oh.
Yeah.
We actually organized a group to go to the Benny Hinge to collect the Benny Hinge mask, and we ended up we only had like 20 people or so. We ended up everybody taking turns and blasting each other in the Gladius, so I guess that's considered cheesing. I'm not working really hard for it either way. We'll probably do another one. I really respect Mike's position in that people who work hard to achieve something are going to have a much higher value attached to that, and I seriously respect that. I think that this was not really a very well thought out thing. They just kind of threw it out there, but it has really spurred a tremendous amount of gameplay. So I think it's a good thing overall.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the things.
Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say that one of the things that we were talking about this on the Yacht Club with you, Mike, the other day. One of the things about it was we had it was either Xylo or it was a dev. I don't know if we ever confirmed if it was Xylo. Actually came out to Benny Hinge and showed us both masks.
Yep.
So both the Vandal mask as well as the Scarecrow mask, and in a way we took that as kind of like a nod to saying, yeah, what you're doing, organizing these events, it's all good for the community.
Yes.
So go for it. Right. And so I think there's these different ways of approaching the problem. And, for me, all of these things like these masks, that kind of stuff, I don't plan on having, a wall of fame, in one of my homesteads where I put all the stuff that I achieved, in my Star Citizen life. I really want to play the game. I want to play the game for the game. Well, that's for you, Jorunn. That's what your dream is.
That's what I want to do. Yeah, I want my wall of fame to be my achievements by playing the game.
That's cool. And so I don't get as much value out of that. So if I get that mask, because I nerfed it in some way to get it, it's not going to have as much value for me. But at the same time, I don't need the mask either. It doesn't give me any huge satisfaction. I'm not going to go, yeah, I earned that mask. I'm super hyped about it.
Yeah.
So, for someone to come along and say, you don't deserve this mask because you got it. It's like, well, dude, do you want it? I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, I don't feel any value to the fact that I get that mask. So in a way, it sucks for me because I was entitled in the way I got the mask. But at the same time, people shouldn't be angry with me because it's not, it's not something I'm going to hold above them. It's not like
here's the thing for me.
And I don't have it yet, by the way, and I'm not necessarily pushing to get it. I've got most of the kills, but not all of them.
Yeah. As long as you understand, I don't mind if somebody cheeses it because it's CIG's fault that you could, right? In the first place. It's on them to design it better so that can't happen. Now here's the thing. Go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead.
I was just going to quickly say. I was just going to quickly say this: that I hope the people that do cheese it understand that when our perspective of yes, we gain more value by earning it ourselves, but some of that value was taken away because it's not as rare as it should have been, and so
I totally understand.
And so that somebody cheesed it. Somebody cheesing it took that value away from us. So therefore, like, we're a little bit upset I'm not like directly upset at you, the person, but I'm upset about the whole idea of everything that happened, right? That's where my passion or upsetness comes from, was that some of my value was taken away. Go ahead.
I'm upset too because I'm a PvP player at heart. I'm not pirate, but I play security, and yeah, I feel the same way as you, Mike. I mean, but I'm more upset not at the people that cheesed it, because to me, if the people are going to find a loophole, they're going to exploit it. That's just how game works.
Yeah.
So that's on CIG. And I apologize, but I feel like this event, and I'm theory crafting here. I'm theory crafting that the mask was probably something that they had in the pipeline. Maybe they had first the intention to sell it, but then they saw your video. I mean, I know they had plans for like rewarding the players, but maybe not now. Maybe they thought, oh, you know what, it would be a good idea to, instead of selling it, that we actually make an event around it. But that probably is something that they discussed around a cup of coffee, and there was no real thought into it. And the proof of that is the truth of the ship, like the glaive. Like, I'm sorry, have you played the glaive recently? This thing is a bug fest. Like, why would you put that ship? So that already told me that okay, this was thought out at the last minute, and so it's
they didn't put much thought into it.
It could very well have been.
But to get back on topic, if you don't mind, because I know there are other colors. So I mean, you pretty much covered theory crafting, like the benefits and why. I mean, it's the ground. It's the ground of the game. I mean, the game wouldn't exist without theory crafting, in my opinion. And you pretty much said that it's the dream, and that's what fuels the game. So since you already covered it, I thought we could probably indulge in one thing, one of the theory craftings that's going on, and you talked about the future. Mike had a rather negative take, and I understand, about what Chris said about the state of exploration, cargo, pirating, crime, etc., where he said that, well, we have already a good foundation of gameplay there. And I agree, like what we have right now is crap. It's absolute crap, but I do see what he means when he says that with a little bit of love, it could become something amazing. And we know this, we have proof of this, because it happened already.
Look at mining.
But more specifically, I was thinking about Jumptown. Jumptown is one of the moments that made Star Citizen super popular. That's when people started streaming about it, and the reason people loved it, to me, that was the most fun I had in this game. It's because all three, even exploration, that which it mentioned, even exploration was kind of a little part of it. You had to find that space. You have to go to an OM point, and you had to find that little dot, like on the thing, to fly straight to it. Some players used a ship that they used as a beacon to leave it there, so they can give other players like a beacon to go there. But cool. You had cargo traders, like people that do not indulge in PvP. They went there because all of a sudden they had trading, but trading with stakes, trading with it became intense. You have your blood pumping.
The risk and reward.
Yep.
Yeah. Interaction. If you talk at someone who plays, or for example, who plays DayZ, the PvP is usually not the point of it. The point of it is that it's a game that's supposed to reward interaction instead of just killing people.
Yeah.
And we had that for a while with Jumptown, and I understand why they removed it, because it was static. It couldn't stay static. We had to play other things, and why I'm now, to get back to theory crafting, I am more positive about what Chris said there, and the fact that they are focusing on what I consider the holy triangle that made Jumptown the fun event that it was, is interaction between three groups of people: security, criminals, citizens. And by citizens, I mean
economy
anyone
players.
Economy players. Because one of the things that I think is unfortunate right now, even if, let's say, they had salvaging like tomorrow. Okay, cool. You're going to salvage on your own little space. You're not going to interact with any players. You're basically going to play alone, unless there's multi-crew, of course. But if you don't account for multi-crew, you will not have interactions with anyone. You will never be at risk. You will never. I mean, it's not going to be fun. You're just going to, play on your own. And interaction is really why we play Star Citizen. Otherwise, we would play another space sim like X4 and play on our own. So that's what's the ingredient that's missing. So when he says that he's going to focus on those 4 things, I do think that we might actually be seeing like kind of a resurgence in next year of elements of Jump Down. I think, and I don't know what you guys think about it, but to me, I thought it was exciting for him to say that this is what they're focusing on.
I'll just add one thing, and that is that Pyro is going to be like Jump Town to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Right. And so the question is, what do we do between now and when Pyro comes out to create a Jump Town kind of thing? And, how do we get that message across? I mean, I think we've been pretty vocal to CIG saying, hey, Jump Town was the best thing ever. So how can we bring that back?
I think this mask was just a rough attempt at attempting that, to be honest.
Well, trying something new.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a solution to the question you just asked, cargo missions. Because think about it. For example, if we take the interdiction ships or like the Mantis or stuff like that, it can be argued that those ships are useless because you never know when someone's going to go that route, or like, how do you know how to catch someone with this thing? You're basically just going on a route and waiting for something. Cargo missions, the big advantage that it would have, especially if they have cargo timers give you time to set up cargo, and the cargo mission gives data that the game can share, not just for cargo haulers, but for pirates. You can make a counter mission to that, because they also, I mean, you kind of have a hint at that, because they said that there are also escort missions that's going to go along with cargo missions. And I think they can do that with pirates. Like, you could imagine that, and I'm theory crafting here again, that when someone accepts a cargo mission, okay, you accept that cargo mission, you have to go from A to B. The cargo mission says that you have like 20 minutes to make that travel, but the cargo timer to load your ship, it's going to take 10 minutes. That creates information that can be shared for a counter mission for pirates when they say, oh, okay, there's this guy, he's going to go from A to B. He's not going to leave the spaceport for the next 10 minutes because he's loading. And we know he's going to have to do the travel in 20 minutes. That gives them information so that they can set up an interception to catch the guy, and that's when we recreate the Jump Town scenario. I think that's
all part of the dynamic universe that Tony Z talked about at CitizenCon in Manchester, and that they're planning on starting to implement late next year
in the AMA, right? They mentioned
definitely
that.
part of it. Yep. And I think in Chris's post prior to that, I think he'd mentioned that. That wasn't in his response to the questions that were voted up for Chris Roberts. The first one was the dynamic economy question, and that's where he talked about that, and what their timeline is, even though that was a when question.
And this even goes to like the PvP slider thing, where like if you accept more PvP missions, then that type of counter mission might be more available to you. But if you don't, then you would never see it. That kind of thing. But Tom, before we let you go, do you want to add anything else? Because we have one more caller on the line, and we're kind of pushing it now.
Yeah, I know. I'm good. But yeah, thank you for having me. All right. Have a good one.
Yeah. All right, Tom.
I do want to make a comment on one of the first things that he said about the Chris Roberts comment about what Star Citizen has in it currently, and with the various mechanics with cargo and bounty hunting and those sorts of things. And he was saying that they're in, but really at tier 0. And if they were fully fleshed out, then it would be a full and larger game than anything else.
Of course.
He wasn't really saying that we have very much with that, because they're totally tier 0.
Yeah. I'm afraid of where this might take us. I agree with that 100%, but I think this where that communication problem comes from is when you read that, I see exactly what you're saying, but at the same time, it almost implies that it wouldn't be that difficult.
I
to get
didn't
there.
take that away. I did not take that.
It's like all we have to do is flesh it out. Like that's how I like that's the vibe I get from it.
I read it totally differently than you did.
Yeah,
like,
me too. I read it like you. To me, I read it like if you had ingredients missing, and if you had the missing ingredients, things come together nicely.
But I did take it in that those are a priority for them to build out over the next year. So I do see, not in the next quarter, maybe not in the next 6 months, but I see them beginning to iterate and build on those careers over the next year.
And what's important for them
next year?
Yeah, and what's important for them to communicate is what the priorities are. As long as they're communicating what are the priorities right now in the moment, I think we're good. That's how I look at it.
The new roadmap.
I think the new roadmap will be really good for that. But all right, Tonk, let me let you go so we can bring in our next one.
Of course.
Thanks,
Thank you
man.
again for having me.
Of course. Appreciate the call, man. All right, and then we're bringing in Memestein, or IDD for us that know him on Twitch. So what's up, IDD?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me on the show again.
Hi there.
Yeah, you're on often. So what's up, man?
I think I have an example why theory crafting can be good at the same time, and it's kind of in line of what Jorunn mentioned earlier regarding base building.
Okay.
At around 2015, 2016, I read an article of a CIG level designer on a dev website, and he wrote about how using modular building pieces was necessary for them to fill the huge playground that is Star Citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Jorunn, I thought, what if we can help building and filling the world?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the European-friendly stream schedule, we had Brian Chambers quite often in chat.
Yeah.
And I asked him if it would be possible to take advantage of the way they do locations and buildings in the world and expose it in-game to backers in the form of base building. And his answer was that it absolutely would be possible, that there would be some edge cases and it would need a lot of UI work. And they might add something like that down the stretch, but their current work has priority. And I totally loved the answer he gave me. It's possible, but not a priority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here's my issue with theory crafting. It's because that idea became reality just a few years later when they introduced and sold the Pioneer. From that point on, parts of the community expects base building and eagerly looking forward to it because it's just the kind of gameplay they would love.
Yeah, that might have been the moment that Star Citizen sold them, like the economy video was for me and Stim, and something different was for Jorunn, right? Mm-hmm. That could have been their moment.
Well, if you remember, Chris first mentioned base building in one of the interviews at Gamescom in Germany in 2016.
Oh, those interviews were wild.
There were some great interviews.
There was good ones.
Yeah, so much good information. I refer back to this.
I think it was 2015 was the first time he mentioned that we're not going live with 100-star systems too. So like those were always, the German media was just like, tell us like it is, Chris. Here we go. What's happening? It was really good. There was some really good stuff there.
They got some great, and again that goes back to all of this ocean of information out there that we've accumulated and we catalog and some of us can refer back to and put these pieces together where other people have no clue of all these things that were talked about over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, IDD.
Realistic.
Continue if you had anything else.
My issue with that was CIG didn't even have a time frame for base building. It probably never was near the top of their priority list to be at that time. But the expectations were set from that moment on. The hype was planted with no payoff in sight. And this process, to me, isn't exclusive to base building, but applies to to many other things around the project as well.
Yeah,
IDD, if you can get a little
pervasive,
closer
the
to your
entire
mic
project.
as well. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll jump in there if that's okay. It's. I mean, this is pervasive for everything in Star Citizen, and that's why the memes soon TM came out, because we set our expectations on when things are going to arrive, and the top question.
The minute we hear something.
Right. Yeah. And it's always said, don't ask a when question on, ISC or ATV, Star Citizen Live. So they're trying to set the bar and saying, hey, look, it's coming. It'll come when it comes. It'll come when the technology's ready. It'll come when it's a priority for, what people want in the game. Is it a building block for what else needs to come down? And also remember, the definition of beta that we're moving towards, and look, this is highly contested by the definition of beta, but I've always stuck to the definition of beta being that it's feature complete, not content complete. So we have one ship which does their proposed customization process. That's the 300 series, one series of ships, right? We may not ever get that until after beta. We might not get that until we get whatever, full release is.
The proof of concept.
Right. So
I want custom painting now.
Yeah.
You
Me
me
too.
both, right? Like everybody wants it.
My ID needs a paint job. I hate white.
I think they should have built out every ship that way, but who knows the time it would take to do that, right?
Yeah.
And then how long would we get it?
I don't think they're not going to do it like they did ever again. They've said they're going to do that in game because it was such a massive endeavor for the entire company to create that on the store that they tried it. They're not going to do it that way again. That'll be in game.
Now, I have something to add to what IDD said, which I agree with this point 100%, is while using the Pioneer as the example, do you know what they did really, really well? And I think they did it really, really well because they weren't selling them. Caves. They casually mentioned them, then they showed them, and then they delivered them. All within a 3 to 6 month period, right? Whereas
that was shocking.
Yes, but because they weren't selling it. Because if they were selling a cave, the cave would have been an image that they sold on the website, and then a video, and then another video, and then they got deprioritized, and then they ended up in the game, right? So they would have if it was being sold, it probably would have been delivered a little bit earlier.
That perspective.
But I'm just adding to what IDD said. Is that's the Pioneer example. That's the Caterpillar modularity. There's all sorts of things that you can tie into that. Is they're selling the idea of what will happen later.
But that is the entire project. That all these things are for the complete universe. Stim's feature complete at beta, which is still years away. When they mention something, and that's what I hate is that they have pulled back from talking about these things in the future. It's not CIG's fault that people hear them say something and then they want it. They expect it. Oh, they mentioned it. It's coming soon. Like the homesteads, they may not come for a year or two.
Okay, that's fine.
Or they might show up in 6 months.
What year was the Pioneer? What year was the Pioneer sold?
For a year.
2018 in Austin.
2018 in Austin. It was 2018 in Austin. I actually remember the room I was in, smashing refresh to buy it now.
Fucking sim.
Yeah.
All been there.
The whole thing was that was 2 years ago, and I don't know if at that time was maybe the way you look at this game is the right way, Jorunn, but is it the way that 90% of the people in the game look to, and is it the way that CIG wants people to look at the game? In general, wouldn't they want people to get excited about this thing and want it now? And I think that's what they're selling.
No, I think CIG struggles with trying to manage that expectation.
Absolutely.
Of
that they create.
I am nearly inhuman in my level of detachment and patience. And while I can be super hyped in the moment, I am still maintaining a long-term perspective. When I was a teenager, I wanted to live to 120. Like,
sure,
how many
but
teenagers are thinking?
You're the
I'm weird that way.
You're the exception rather than the rule.
I am, and that's why I try to continually change people's perspectives. Like, stop expecting things immediately. This is a long-term project. We've got 3 to 5 years before beta, and we're probably only going to have 10 or 15 star systems in 3 to 5 years.
Sure.
As they get faster, they'll start turning them out faster, but we're not going to have 50 star systems or 100 star systems for many years. And many of these things that everybody wants are years away. So you've got to just take a deep breath and let go of having to have it right now. Enjoy what we have, enjoy the process. If you can't, take a break, go play some other games. Cyberpunk's coming out, Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out. You know, there's other stuff.
But you know that but you know that most people can't do that. Most people can't be like you. You said it was an inhuman quality, right?
Yeah.
And most people 100%. Can't do that. I'm getting closer and closer to that every day.
Because how is it CIG's fault?
Because it's their job. Because it's their job to capitalize on that. Most people will say it's a business, right? It's their job to do that. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with it. It's their job to capitalize on it. They have to maintain
that level of hype. 100%. They need to maintain funding.
Sure, but what I agree with IDD is if we're going to use the Pioneer as an example, it should have been a little bit more like the caves, when you were closer and you were sure and you had an idea of how you would implement it.
But that goes
then
to that
sell
whole
that
other,
bad
other
boy.
side. So that goes to that whole other side of, it's like, don't show us anything unless it's coming right now. Just don't show us anything unless it's coming right now. And I freaking hate that. I miss
these are the pros and cons
stuff.
These are the pros and cons.
I hate that. So it's like it's all your fault, man.
I think this boils down to sort of locus of control, right, and critical thinking skills. So if you look at CIG as being a company only, right?
Yeah, and they're not only. I don't look that way, but
they're not only a company. They're a community builder. Now, all video game companies are community builders, but if you look at the way CIG has done it, wow, have they ever built a community in a unique, new, and interesting way? And so, talking about, settling new planets in undiscovered country, this is stuff that CIG has pioneered into. I'm dropping the memes like they're hot, but it's about the whole concept that they have really gone out on a ledge to make this happen. And so, they've definitely been burned by it. They've stepped back in who goes on to shows. I mean, we basically saw Ben Lesnick totally move away from any kind of show when he was on
everything.
He was everywhere, and so they've had to manage things, and they're also kind of going through a cycle where at the very beginning it's all about the theory crafting. As they move forward, they're starting to bring things back a little bit, so it's more tangential. How much of that has to do with the fact that they're reacting, and how much of this is an overall plan that follows the life cycle of the game development? So they have a lot of experience in both game development. At least at their higher end, they've got a lot of knowledge on game development. They don't have a lot of experience as a company themselves, but they can tap into that previous knowledge that they have. Plus, look at Chris's experience in the movie sector. And one of the things I wanted to say was the way that the hype is done with those videos where, we see the hand rolling along the wheat, that is cinematic, not actual in-game gameplay.
Yeah.
Yet, and you have the same thing in the Squadron 42 trailer. But at the same time, the Wing Commander series was always designed around those cinematics. I mean, I remember getting my first UART 16550 chip that allowed me to be able to tap into the math coprocessing plus it wasn't far long after that the first sound blaster that you could actually hear the Kilrathi saying, "I clean my claws on your corpse." It was amazing, right? And so the cinematics that are involved in the games that Chris puts together. So this is more than a game. It's a movie. It's an immersive, choose your own adventure, massively multiplayer. There are multiple genres coming together here in what's being done. So I would argue that while other more AAA companies like EA, You know, while they are creating, they've got these established franchises. I'm not talking about the sport games. I'm not talking about you know, the games that aren't sort of, you know, world building. I'm talking about maybe, you know, where GTA could go if it had a lot of lore, like great lore and stuff. You know, it's these kinds of games that have systemic gameplay. It's a new area of gaming, and so you know, there's so many firsts that are going on here that we could say CIG, to tie it back, that it's their fault as a company, but there's also look at all the people like us that have kind of stepped up in the community to put these shows together. You know, we are invested in this. So even though we're not actual shareholders, right? You know, we kind of feel like we are. We're emotional shareholders in the project, and so we could take locus of control. We could take ownership of what we're doing there. And in the same regard, every backer that's watching here, that is following the project, can take ownership of the way that they look at the project. So I think, Jorunn, I think you're doing amazing work by working with everybody every day to help them temper things. I think you've got a strong argument there, Mike, that the, you know, CIG really is the center point. They're the catalyst, the crystallization point of everything that's going on. But we also need to take control of our own expectations.
Yes.
We cannot surrender our control to others. And why would you?
Yeah.
Honestly, why would you?
Yeah.
You get to dream. That's great. But really set your own expectations, because you should be the master of your own emotions.
Yeah. You dream at night for a reason, and because you have to wake up and come to reality every morning, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the key phrases that's applicable here is immediate gratification.
Yes.
In that society, I'm the old guy here. I'm turning 50 next week.
And Jorunn, we'll end on you here with this, okay?
Thanks. I come from a time before, you know, I had a black and white television. There were no cell phones. There was no internet. We didn't have any computers. It was before Commodore 64. I was excited when we got an Atari and I could play Pong and 8-bit combat with tank and the biplanes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything moved slower back then, and so, you know, all you kids need everything now, and, you know, it's like, I don't go to the store. I was telling Stim or somebody the other day,
Get
it's
off
like, I
my
don't order
hanger.
anything unless it's on Amazon. I don't buy it. It's like, I got to have it in 2 days or 1 day or same day. You know, we're all subject to the speed of how fast everything moves, and everything else is about immediate gratification. And CIG is doing something nobody has ever done before, open in front of everybody. Cyberpunk has taken the same amount of time to deliver a much smaller game, and we didn't see any of it until just recently. So, and they started with a complete game studio with a whole team. CIG had like 8 people and a dream. So, you know, it's theory crafting and managing expectations is difficult and critical, but I think it's our responsibility as community leaders to remind people and communicate people and temper those expectations while maintaining that hype.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah. Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, IDD. Just real fast though.
Yeah. Back to the Pioneer. When they sell you the Pioneer, when do you expect it to get it in your hands? Like, do you have a time frame?
I think the answer is he doesn't.
3 years.
When you say no, that's enough. Because just as reference, Exploration, for example, was sold day 1, and 8 years later we still have no Exploration, because you might have to wait another 10 years for your Pioneer gameplay.
Yeah, which ID, that's why I don't have expectations on that coming in. You know, yeah, I mean they said as soon as they said a long time ago that the Endeavor is something that will not come before release, whatever that is, of the game. That makes, you know, that told me right there that there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to have to wait for a long time. And it really defined soon TM into my mind that, you know, while I can dream about this, I do have to be careful about what my expectations are going forward.
I use not soon TM a lot.
Yeah, because that's really what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of things are not soon.
Yeah. Great question.
Yeah. Thank you, IDD, as always.
Thanks for answering.
Yep.
Thanks for being on the show again.
Yeah, of course.
And have a good safe, guys.
You too. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on the show. I thought this was a really awesome discussion. Just continuing like from Wednesday into Sunday, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I was on the
great.
show on Wednesday. Is that up on YouTube yet? I haven't checked. I had a busy work week.
No, I'm going to try to do that today. I got to get with Stim because we got to connect Twitch and YouTube.
Yeah, no problem, boys. I'll link that when it's up in the video description for this. But yeah, thank you again for coming on. Before we go, do you guys want to share your socials and where people can find you and where they can continue these discussions on with you elsewhere?
Sure, I'll go first because mine is much less prolific as Jorun's. For me, I do have a YouTube channel, although I don't post to it yet. I do plan to, but I haven't started yet.
Post for YouTube. Every creator I tell post YouTube videos when they come on the show. Do it.
I do. I really do want to. So soon TM on that one. But otherwise on Twitch, the Yacht Club BC. So our channel is Twitch/Yacht Club BC. We stream on Wednesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I don't know the UTC. I apologize for those Europeans that are calling and watching. -4? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. And then, of course, we have what we call our shenanigans, which are hanging out and playing, as well as our FPS Mondays. So Mondays, we do Care Bear FPS, we call it. Thursdays, we do shenanigans, and Saturdays, we do shenanigans, all at 8:45 p.m. Eastern time. So you can run the math on those. So yeah, and of course the Discord as well. I mean, reach out to us, jump in our Discord, hang out and have a great time. It's about hanging out, and it's really about that Bar Citizen experience. If you haven't been to a Bar Citizen, it's basically, getting together with like-minded people like you're doing right now, watching this show, just having some geek time to talk with each other and shoot the shit. Sorry about the bleep. About this project that we know and we love and we're all waiting for and excited about, and hopefully temper a few expectations at the same time.
Yeah. All right, go ahead, Jorunn.
So again, we're on Wednesdays on twitch.tv Yacht Club BC. Our Discord is discord.gg/Yacht Club BC. So we've got our own custom URL there if you want to join the community and hang out with us, come play games with us. I stream on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday on my channel. We're not pushing for partner. That's twitch.tv/JorunSC. Twitter, JorunSC. YouTube is Star Citizen Jorunn. I'm Jorunn in game. I'm all over the place.
Do you have a TikTok?
No. Okay. I'm too old for TikTok.
Me too.
Sorry.
Me too. But yeah, I mean, guys, thank you so much again for coming on. I appreciate it. I'd love to do this again in the future sometime. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. And
you're welcome on our show any Wednesday you want to pop in.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I hope you felt welcomed here, because this is more of the you get the people who haven't dealt with their expectations as well as maybe you two have, right? So I thought it was an awesome conversation. And I hope it helped some of these guys, because I know just talking to you guys, it helped me. So guys, thank you again. I will leave you guys here. Be good. I'll do the whole YouTube thing, like leave a comment, subscribe down below. We are doing that giveaway though for the 125A. So if you guys want to take part in that giveaway for the YouTube channel, just type down below. We're giving away 135C right now. So just ! raffle on Twitch if you guys are watching this live. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, everybody. And we'll see you next week.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye.